nothing, got the scoop on lock. Spilling all the tea while it's still too hot. Late Keisha, queen of the plot. Hit that bell, cause the tea don't stop. She don't miss nothing, got the scoop on lock. Spilling all the tea while it's still too hot. Late Keisha, queen of the plot. Hit that bell, cause the tea don't stop. She don't miss nothing, got the scoop on lock. Spilling all the tea while it's still too hot. Late Keisha, queen of the plot. Hit that bell, cause the tea don't stop. Hit that bell, cause the tea don't stop.
Hey guys, I hope everybody is having a great day. I want to get into this situation between Sidora, Porsha, and Shamea. Now, if y'all watched the last episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, what we saw was Porsha and Shamea sitting down with Drew's husband, Ralph. And everybody thought that was shady. Everybody like, what is going on? Now, before I get into Drew's actual interview, because Drew did an interview where she pretty much broke down and she had, some things to say with regards to how the situation was handled. Now, what it appears to me is because Drew is having some kind of working relationship with Porsha's baby father, which is not even her husband. Porsha is actually married to somebody else. It seems that, Shamea teamed up with Porsha to try to make, Drew angry by meeting with Ralph, which I was like, that's childish. Well, Drew was not feeling it. And in fact, she spoke out about it, and we want to get into it. But before we get into it, what I want y'all to, because this is gonna make sense. Now, if y'all remember on the episode, Drew and her mother were interacting, um, you know, with each other. But what ended up happening is Drew's mother was really kind of like disrespectful toward Ralph, and then it's in all honesty, Drew was really co-signing what her mom said. So it looks like Ralph said, Mama gotta watch her mouth. Don't you remember I saved you after you spent all your husband's money and had nothing? I was your angel. Then things change fast, doesn't it? So I get it, a mom and a daughter having a conversation, but the things that her mother was saying was pretty much was a little dirty. Um, and also, it looks like Ralph said Drew does an amazing job lying and playing victim. These RHOA fans, excuse me, believe anything. Now, this is what Drew said. Disrespecting my mother, especially on a public platform, is completely unacceptable. She's simply speaking from a mother's perspective based on what she witnessed. Please stop the unnecessary negativity and show some basic respect. Now, this is what I really struggle with from Black people. I only see it with Black people. Why is it every time you say something that somebody doesn't like, or if they're a elder, or if they're your boss, if you say anything and it's respectful, they consider it disrespectful simply because they didn't like it. Now, I didn't see this, as disrespect, but the reason why I'm bringing it up, because it's a cultural thing. It just seems like Black people be like, that's disrespect. But was it not disrespect what your mother said about him? Having a conversation with your daughter and having a mother's perspective is different, because I believe she called him a narcissist. It was a bunch of stuff that was said, but I don't understand how Ralph responding now makes him such a horrible person when Drew didn't see anything that she and her mother did. And frankly, I get it. Talking about your marriage, and the ups and downs of what happened, but sitting there calling somebody a narcissist and yada yada, that's not really exactly talking from a mother's perspective. And then, Drew said Ralph does an amazing job as a peach holder. So it's like, as sometimes I wonder, like, do these people actually understand, how disrespectful that they be, or they are? And I don't know if this is a Drew thing, but it just seems like Drew never seems to get it when she is really doing something. And I kind of can agree with Ralph's with what he's saying with, Drew is always, she's playing a victim. And sometimes people be in the comments saying, the man, you acting like a girl. Now here's my perspective. We live in a society where people feel like men is supposed to be quiet and say nothing. No, it don't work like that. Men have the same emotions as a woman, and they should be able to express their opinion. If y'all remember, even in the car when they were coming back from court, Drew was hanging out the window calling that man all kind of names. So it's like, come on now. Like, I just never understand how some people can identify when they say that they're being wronged and it's highly exaggerated, but yet they don't understand when they are actually being disrespectful to the other person. So I thought that was very, interesting. But one of the reasons why I wanted to actually bring up that, because it's going to make sense in a minute to my next point. So basically, what we kind of did was we went over the part where Drew and her mother pretty much was having, this conversation. And if y'all don't remember, let's just give y'all like a quick, um, to see what,
Very good.
Just
To you,
something to
to you,
you.
to me, and to you, because you have.
So this is how it pretty much started off. Her and her mother, they were having a conversation, but it really turned toward, Ralph being a piece of shit. That's pretty much what it turned. That's where it turned. But we also saw Shamea and Porsha meet with Ralph. Now, Drew didn't like that. And I can understand, why she didn't like it. But I want to get into what she said, because I don't know if maybe I just see stuff from a different perspective. But it always seems like Drew is sometimes playing the victim. Now, I'm not saying she plays the victim in the situation between her and Porsha. I think she is really justified in what she says, but I don't know if somewhere, along the lines, if her and Dennis and Porsha kind of concocted this storyline. Because if you really think about it, Porsha didn't have anything going on. Drew doesn't have anything going on. So it makes sense. I'm strictly talking about, it seems like this situation with her and her husband, maybe it's just me or I'm seeing it from a different perspective. It almost seems like she is always the victim in this situation and just never ever takes accountability for absolutely nothing. I mean, even in the episode, she laughed, that he stays in the basement. She thought that was a joke and then said, yeah, and he has to pay all the bills. But then it's a problem when Ralph says he wants a percentage of her company. And I'm just like, you got to make this make sense. I mean, he's paying all of the bills, but yet you build up a company. And even if you had the company, before you got married, depending on how long you had it before you got married and then you got married, it may be a situation where he might need to get half of it. Because what I learned with a lot of women is, for some reason they think what's the man's is theirs, but they think what is theirs is not his. And it's really messed up. And I think like certain people should just not get married, because these relationships are not one-sided. When they say, when you marry, what's mine's is his, what's mine's is his, and what's his is mine's, that's correct. It's not what's his is mine's and what's mine's is mine's. It really don't work like that. But I really want to get into what Drew said and how she kind of broke down in this interview, when she sat down with Carlos.
Like, Ralph gaslit you the moment y'all met.
Ooh, coming right out with it, right? That has been my most recent.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I want a tissue.
Dang, I was pretty for like. Now it's all going down. Yeah.
The face is the face, honey. No one can deny the face card.
Okay. And yeah. Okay. Yeah. Reset a little bit. This is why, it did take me a while to have this sit down because back then when you asked me, I knew I couldn't even get through a sentence really, at that time to talk through like my feelings. I am in a much better space, but there are still wounds, that need to be healed. And I think because we are on this show and I'm watching things in real time with everyone and I'm seeing his actions and his behavior, it is having me to ponder what you just asked, which is like, was it ever real? Everything I thought is having me to consider like, but was it ever love? Did he ever respect? Because someone that would go and have dinner with your ops, right? And sit there and bash you. And let's be honest, like I'm still the mother of his kids. We have kids together. We were married for now 10 years. So I'm like someone that loves you and that respects you as even just the mother of your kids wouldn't behave this way. So then I just said to someone, I said, unless they never really loved you and they never really respected you. And that's where my train of thought has been. Because for me, I've never set out to bash Ralph. I have done nothing but tried to protect him for his actions and tried to gain understanding for his actions. And, as you see the season, I'm not sitting around talking about Ralph. I'm talking about my healing. And it was very, very hurtful to see that scene with him, Porsha, and Shamea.
When you saw Shamea and Porsha meet with your estranged husband, what was your knee-jerk reaction to that knowledge? Like, did you find out before the episode aired or the trailer even?
Yeah.
Or even if you did, was it a gut punch to you to watch it and to hear what he said? Like, walk me through that moment because, listen, I love Porsha, I love Shamea, and I said this on my podcast. I said, look, I got to be honest. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I didn't like the scene, and I give my reasons why. I'm not here to regurgitate that.
Yeah.
I'm not married to Ralph, and I don't have kids by him. So I am curious to know, what were you feeling the moment you watched Shamea and Porsha meet with Ralph?
So during filming, I heard that they filmed together. But it was like variations. Like it almost sounded like they ran into each other at a restaurant. And so it was kind of like, oh yeah, they had some words and that was it. I didn't know it was like a planned sit down situation. So when I watched it, I'm like, wait a minute, this is giving like a full scene. This is like everyone knew and they are here together and they're happy to see each other. And I'm like, wow. And I like what they did in trying to cover it in a meeting of a podcast. I see what you tried to do there. Okay. But it landed flat because as we see today, there is no King and Queens podcast. We're not seeing the manifestation of that.
On Spotify?
I haven't seen it and I think.
Oh, okay, your album is though. Okay,
the album is, it's on Apple Music and iTunes. I know Ralph in the Basement is on his YouTube. But this other podcast with Shamea, I haven't seen any remnants of that. But they had this meeting. And so let's say respectfully, it's a business meeting. All right. But it went into discussion of Drew. And that's where I felt disrespected. I felt, from Ralph being still technically legally married, I'm like, you're volunteering information that was between you and I. You're sitting here entertaining text messages that aren't real because we haven't seen them. You're entertaining basically a try of a takedown of me, a destruction of me and my character, and really everything I've built since the age of 8. It's like on top of what I've built for myself as an actress, as a mother, and then as a wife, you're trying to destroy that. And I just didn't think it was necessary. I didn't think it was necessary. And then he never told me. He never divulged anything to me. I literally found everything out on the show. And I just felt like, regardless of if our relationship and our marriage is not working out, there's still just a level of respect that you should have for the mother of your kids.
Do you feel like Ralph gaslit you the moment y'all met?
Okay, guys. So here's my deal. Let me just kind of give y'all my breakdown. Like, I kind of feel like, in some ways that Drew and, her husband may be the same people. Because we really don't know what go on in these people's marriages, and they both could be lying for all we care. What I have learned is Drew always seemed like she's giving a performance. Now, maybe it's just me, but it always seems that she is giving some type of performance. Now, I was looking through the comments just to see everybody's take, and it's a little mixed, but I like this one reply because this is kind of exactly how I felt. And this is what this person said. So, is the mother owed more respect than the father? Because she has definitely trashed him on the show several times already. I mean, if she's claiming to be owed respect because she is the mother of his kids and other people. So they're saying, okay, well, because she has 2 children by Ralph and then another son by another man, but she wants to bash the father of the same kid. So that's exactly what I said. Like, I don't want to just feel like, that Drew is being victimized, because I don't feel that she is, but I also feel that she doesn't take responsibility, because you are sitting up here crying, saying that this man is not respecting you when you haven't respected him either. So I'm a little bit lost. That's why I'm like, girl, what is this giving? Like, you were just hanging out the window saying every cuss word that we don't know what they didn't, what they blurted out. But the ones that we heard you say was you a dumbass, and it was just so disrespectful. So I'm just like, girl, like, do you hear yourself? I mean, do you watch the show? And even with the situation with her mother, yes, that's your mom. Y'all can have a conversation. She can give you feedback. That's your mother. But in giving feedback, she pretty much said that he wasn't SHIT. And you didn't correct her. So is it the same then when he just really sits down and have a conversation with people that you don't like? I guess he is a part of the show. So I guess what I'm saying is, why is it that she wants so much respect, but I don't see her giving him any respect? So it's just like, I feel like, as women, a lot of times we talk about, not having, a good relationship with men, or even if you look at I can talk about Black people. I don't know about those other folks, but if we look at the dynamics between Black woman and Black man, the relationship just seems so flawed. Now, I don't know what men think. I'm not a man, but what I've learned with women is they always want something they're not willing to give. And respect is really something that men take as it's like a no, like a non-negotiable. But to hang out the window and to call this man every name in the book, but if he say bitch, oh my gosh, he called me that. So it's just like, I don't know. Y'all got to let me know what y'all think. I'm really over Drew. Again, I don't know when this girl is being serious, but y'all let me know, like with regards to the Shamea and the Porsha part of it. I really believe that it was out of order, and especially Shamea, somebody that's in a relationship with her husband. I mean, a good relationship. Porsha is for the street, so we know she gonna do anything. But I feel like Shamea is not representing well on this show. I feel like, we saw her, in this, good marriage. Everything is going fine for her. But yet the things that she's doing is kind of like giving, miniature Porsha, because Shamea, we don't expect you to behave like Porsha because we didn't think that you were like Porsha, but it's giving, very much Porsha. I don't understand. Well, and even in a sense that Shamea did sit down with Ralph, I don't even understand why she would be sitting down with Ralph anyways, especially talking about Drew and Dennis when it's a whole made up storyline. So y'all got to let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like I said, I kind of let y'all know how I feel, but y'all let me know what you